let's get into what we do here in this program. And since I'll start this one because it was 2 weeks ago that I was here, and I don't know what each of you committed to, so you'll have to tell us what you committed to. So 2 weeks ago, I committed to making a video for Steve, which I did, and then we just readdressed this because we've got an even stronger one right now with you all talking, because it was very difficult for me to try to do in 1 minute. It was 1 minute and 47 seconds. In 1 minute, all of your stories where you could go into much greater depth and detail. So that part I did. And I had also said that every day I would reach out to someone and add them to my list of people to keep in touch with through the blogs and such, because this is about sharing the concept of a pod, what a pod can do. And 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before today's meeting, I realized that I had promised each of you I would do this with you. So you now have in your email, so I got my homework done at the last minute, but I did get it done. You have in your email a link to, so my question is, if I give you the link, will you click it and join my Keep in Touch program and learn about what this program is? And one last thing I had added, because Kim asked me about it before I finished, is would I craft an email for you so you can invite people? Because Steve and I, when we first talked about this, they don't have to be a Caerusnet member. They can learn this, and then the likelihood of them wanting to join Caerusnet to keep it going is probably high. So we're good with that. So it is to be sent to you by the end of today. So I will, I'll tag on a little bit, but you'll have the email by the end of today. So that's me. So what worked is I had conversation with Steve. Steve's here today. We made a better video. What didn't work is not paying attention to what I said until 10 minutes before today's God. But what I learned is this is my passion, is to share this work with more people. And with Robert's help, I'm now writing things that make it easier. And I told you we're rebranding. So if you click the link today, tomorrow you'll get the new launch of Playing to Win is the new branding of, instead of Sales Partners Troy, it will now be Playing to Win. And that's the story behind how that happened. It's all things in my life, there's a story behind it. So, and it's the beginning of a series of stories with nuances. So anyways, that's me. So feedback, I'm opening up for feedback, thoughts, feedback from you guys from what I just said. Any suggestions before I make next week's commitment? No.
Well, my question is, because you had these big commitments, and then, like, I shouldn't say big commitments, but you had these commitments, and then you had the 2 weeks to get back, and I felt like you were like scrambling at this last minute to hurry and get that out to meet that commitment. It's almost like it was like just to check it off. Was that too much? You know, does it?
No, it wasn't. Great question. And what I'm discovering, because everything's a learning, what did I learn? What I'm learning is I want to give you all a sheet each week where you can write what you commit to. You can do your debrief before you come to this call. And then you won't have to be scrambling at the last minute, because sometimes we don't fulfill on our commitment, and it's okay. Things got in the way or whatever, right? So we change, but as long as we're aware and clear. So thank you. And it wasn't too much. It was all doable. And
why I suggest that, and it was just because Robert had brought it up, like, or I think one of us, like, is like, I made a commitment and I didn't get to all of them, but I realized it was conflicting with my calendar that I was putting together.
Yes.
It was like, okay, so then back off. Don't say you're going to reach out to 10 if that's.
I just can't have everyone dialing back their goals. I see a pattern here. I'm only kidding you, Kim.
No more referrals for you.
You told me to do.
Well, no, his point is well taken, right? And again, that's kind of the direction we're going to be coming from with Playing to Win. So I will actually at some point put you in a breakout room and we'll discuss what does playing to win versus playing not to lose means to you, because that's where it's coming from, is that phrase. And I won't say anything more. We'll just stay tuned. So if there's no other feedback, I'll give you my commitment for next week, which is that I will have another video completed. The blog is done, another video completed, and another blog. And I will continue with the 5 conversations and asking each of the 5 if they would join, if they want to keep in touch. And to do that, would they join my Playing to Win? We're going to rename that too, but right now it's called Pearls in the Pod. So until we have a new name, it might be Herd in the Huddle, because it's all sports analogies, Steve. It's what I live for. So, all right. So that's me. Who wants to go next? Go ahead, Kim.
I will go. All right. So my commitment last week was to reach out to 3 older contacts, not old people, but older contacts that have just like gone rogue, and re-engage with them. And again, using that, that little term, Robert, that you had thrown out there, like when we're reaching out to people, because we're just like digging them up out of the dirt, I feel. I did reach out to them. And actually, it was originally 5, and then I just shortened it to 3, and not to lessen it. So here's the part I'm gonna have you, Robert, learn from this. What I noticed is, while I cut back because I wanted to make it achievable for me, so I didn't feel like, oh, it's just like a check mark. I wanted to make it actionable, so I made it only 3. But I also know that because I was strategic in my post, Katie, you got to be so proud of me for scheduling all those posts in advance, that my posts are getting recognized. So what I ended up is a lot of old clients, while I was only focusing on grabbing 3 for myself, older ones were engaged on some of those posts that I had because they've been consistent, they've been scheduled, they've been out there. So I had a lot of older clients reach out to me, and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So while I've been actually overachieving, I set my goals lower, but I've been overachieving my goals because I've been strategic in like setting up the platform. So I did reach out to 3. I re-engaged in them, and I will tell you, Robert, they were very happy to hear from me, because you're always afraid. I was like, oh gosh, what are they thinking? You're out for a sale. And they actually thanked me. It was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. I do need your help. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. So yeah, a little shock and surprise. So I reached out to the 3 contacts, and then I ended up getting more just because of the strategic whatever postings that we were doing. I also said that I was going to reach out to like current people, just reaching out and following up. And I did that because that's kind of what we always do. How you doing on your diet, right? What are we doing? We're reaching out to people. And we have a new product out with ID Life, and it was a detox. And what happened is that was not on my list, but I ended up reaching out to 30 new prospects, because I have a list. We actually have a campaign going, Make It Rain. So I have a list of 30 people and how I'm reaching out to them and what is going on. So that was, actual prospecting. So my goals were to reach out to 3 old, and then to follow up with the 5 current clients. I did that. And then again, I think just because I'm planning things out and working smarter, things are coming back to me. So that was, I hit all of that. So I've learned. The other thing that I did was working on my script, because Steve, I just fumble with that member minute. I'm trying to get them to engage and what do I say that I do? How do I do this? So we worked on this in this group quite a few times of how to do it. This morning so I rewrote it again as of this morning, Steve, because he did break-offs. So what I learned was my script still wasn't working, and I still wasn't hitting the sweet spot. So I'm still working on that. But when Steve did the breakout in this morning's pod, and it was just like asking the, what do you do? It's like, how do you answer that? So I went with my typical member, whatever minute. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't care about that. It had to be something more. And it was like, I help people live longer, feel better, and get healthier. And I'm like, oh, shit, I can say that. I can say that all day long. And it was like, because then they're asking, well, how do you do that? Right? Yes. That got him asking the question, because I don't care about the DNA. That's part of it, and I can customize it, but that got the people asking. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was very, very cool. So what I learned is I was still doing it all wrong. I learned something new, and I'm going to continue to work on that. The other part of it is I go with, like Robert and all of you guys were saying, just like one success story, and keep hitting that success story. Repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. So it may not be the same person, but it's still with the same program. It's like, oh, this person, they got this great, this great result on the 14-day plan. And then trying to share maybe some alarming facts. So that was long. My reach outs, I did 3 reach outs, and then I got more. My 5 follow-ups, I reached out and got more, and then working on my script, and I'm continuing to do that. So what I've learned is I'm just a work in progress, I guess.
This is great. All right, let's open up for feedback. Feedback for Kim.
Well,
Katie?
Kim, I love that you're utilizing a schedule. It's really hard to start, but obviously we do it here for a reason, and we know that it works. And even though like I have that built into my process, though, like building that process is a process in and of itself. So I think, like you said, you're a work in progress, and I think a lot of us can say the same. And I think it's great that you're, finally seeing the fruits of your labor, in that you put the process in place to have all those social posts go out without you having to manually do them. And now you're starting to get not only traction with those, but it's freeing up your time. And I don't know, Kim, I feel like you're getting there with your member minute. I mean, we haven't done like a strict minute in this group, this one, but like, I feel like you always explain very clearly what you do and why you do it. And you always have something valuable. So I would say just keep working at it, because I think you're going in the right direction.
Well, thank you. I feel like a hot mess with that thing.
Now, here's my feedback for you on that. Anytime, and this has been my personal experience, so I don't know if this works for you or whatever. Anytime I'm anxious or uptight or worried, where do you think my focus is? On them or on me? Where's my focus?
You.
Me, right? Because I'm worried about not doing it right. But anytime I come from being of service, everything changes, everything shifts. It doesn't mean I can ramble. I have to have it tight. And you've gotten better and better at tightening it up. So give yourself, I'm going to use Katie's words, give yourself some grace. And it is in the struggle that your learning comes.
Mm-hmm.
All your greatness will come from that. So what's your commitment for next week?
My commitment. Well, now I have to follow up with those 30 new prospects. So that is going to be a commitment.
That's perfect. That's a huge
Reaching out
commitment.
to them. I'm going to actually start, but not finish, but start looking at and planning my calendar for May. And again, those are the weirdo things like special dates or whatever. And so I'm going to start looking at that. And then my commitment actually to you, Denise, is I am stoked about this pod. So I am referring people. I actually invited Chuck to Mr. Enthusiasm. I'm like, you need to be in this group. So he said, when is the next one? And I guess because next week you're not here, right?
Right.
But we are. So I said in 2 weeks on the 27th. And my other friend, I really want to get in here because I think it will help her immensely with her own business. So I asked her if she could join us. So I'm not sure if you want 2 in one week.
Anytime. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So I have 2 invites that I would like to get them in by the 27th or
Perfect.
for the 27th.
Perfect.
Did I
All
just
right.
add 2 seconds about member minutes?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, awesome. So Kim, I think the best thing to do when it comes to member minutes is to try to have, even though you're going to fight against this, and a lot of people fight against it, repetition's the mother of all learning. Not everybody is fully in tune and hearing every word that comes out of our mouths when we're talking, because there's so many things competing for attention, not just in the world, but in our own minds, right? So people have attention deficit disorder all the time. And it's up to us to make it so they really know what we do through repetition. So, my thought is, the average person's got to hear something 6, 7, 8 times before they really get it the first time. So you owe it to yourself and to them to keep repeating, and then maybe just have a little twist or nuance to your member minute. You know, maybe it's the same 30-second opening each time. And then the other 30 seconds, you're highlighting a success story of a client you just helped. You're celebrating a referral you just received. Because I know we want to say new and juicy things, right? To feed our own and to feel like we're giving people something new, but there's value in repetition. And then there's also some value in mixing it up a little bit.
And thank you. And I appreciate that, because that is the struggle. It's like, okay, there's a nutrition workshop. I want to tell them about that. Oh, there was a success story. Oh, I just came from, there's always all this stuff. And it's like, okay, what do I tell them? Right. Yeah, I am focusing on like success stories and the main thing being the main thing, but yes, that has been my biggest struggle. And I do write a script out like before we get on the call. That's what I'm saying.
Very good. Very good. All right. Who wants to go next? Jessica, you want to go next?
Well,
sure.
With feedback, I remember, learning from the education portion of Caerusnet meetings about member minutes, or just meeting people at an event and networking is, tell them, what you do, and then tell them how you do it. So when I heard you say the DNA testing, and then you said, that's how I do, because you mentioned those 3 things, boop, boop, boop. Well, here's what I do, and how do I do that? One of your houses, the DNA testing. It's like your gateway, So that's what popped in my head. But that helps me. I always just say, okay, what is the Raven Institute? What is our mission? And then how do we perform that mission? And then I'm pretty much done.
Very good. All right. So Jessica.
All right, real quick too, Kim, I want to say your success stories, I think keep rolling with those. I know when you posted the other night about a DNA report that came back that you helped your friend and all the things that it did. I read that out to my husband and he's like, it tells you all that. Oh my gosh. Because I had ordered him a kit last week after he got back from the hospital, and it like sold him on it. So I think that's really helpful.
I didn't, that post got a lot of hits. I will tell you that. And Katie, that was one that I scheduled. So I didn't even know. So
Good
people were
job.
reaching out to me in Messenger, and I'm like, what did I do? I couldn't remember what post it was because it was scheduled out, but it got a lot of hits.
Yeah, it was a good one. So
Very cool. Very
all
cool.
right. Last week I committed to breaking out of reaching out to my customers and reaching out to chamber members in Saline. I made my 5 calls on Friday. I was going to do half of them Friday and half on Monday. So I left 5 voicemails and I sent 5 emails right behind the voicemails. I am learning that I think my cell phone number looks a little suspicious because it's 377-3373. So it might look like a robot caller. I'm not sure, but so I tend to get more back from an email after I leave a message. But and then Monday, I went to make my calls and was just in a blah mood and just couldn't do it. So I flipped the switch and I went on a gratitude tour. And so I emailed some of the people that have ordered from me for years. I found out who their bosses were basically, and just sent an email about what a pleasure it is to work with that person and how great they do, and just how thankful I am for the opportunities that we have to serve them in the ways that we're serving. So that kind of like boosted me up. I actually did a couple more yesterday, so I have not gotten back onto my chamber tour, but that just dishing out that gratitude, I feel like that just kind of picks me up every time. So that's been really good for me.
So what worked?
Doing half of my commitment. I think the email follow-up after a phone call or leaving a message has worked pretty well.
What didn't work?
My mood.
That's okay.
But
Now,
so
what did
yeah,
you
I
learn?
think that's it. And then I'm just learning that the more I come just as a genuine person,
Yes.
the better well received it is.
Yes.
It's not the sale, it's just who
Yes.
we are, what we want to do to help. So that seems to be much more well received than where do you buy your ink and toner from? So thank you.
Yes.
What-
Yes.
and
So let's
just
open it
think
up. Go
that's-
ahead. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, so well, Jessica, I mean, honestly, like you took like lemon, right? You made lemonade because now you turned it into gratitude.
Yep.
Which was very cool. And that is connecting with person,
Yeah.
right? And people by people.
Mhm.
So you sending out thank yous. Actually, I was working on like thank you notes for people that like buying these detox things. You're just reaching out. It doesn't always have to go
Right.
after that sale. And I think that will bring you, you know, a great relationship and people
Definitely.
remember. So, you know, you reached out to old people, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
I think it's
Very
great.
gratitude is a good thing to share. So I've certainly learned that over the years.
I think that's phenomenal. So what's your commitment for next week?
Also I committed to 2 trust builders and I do have 3 scheduled for the next week. I'm committing to 10 more chamber calls. I'm going to try to get 3 more trust builders on my calendar for the following week. So
Okay. And again, when we work with the language, are we going to try or
I
what?
am going to do.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good. All right. Awesome. All right. Katie, want to go next?
All right. I have to apologize in advance because I'm doing this on my phone and it's so clunky and I really hate it. I can't see everybody all at one time and it's really frustrating, but I have to say I was on the receiving end of one of Jessica's gratitude tours via her very kind email to Nick. And I, as evidenced by me doing this on my phone, had a terrible morning today and seeing that feedback really made my day. So it is very appreciated.
Well, thank you, Katie. You're kicking butt. So
Well, thank you. All right. Last week, I committed to setting up a more concrete structure for myself on Monday mornings for setting up both client follow-ups and trust builders. So what worked was I did do that. I built in for the first hour of my morning to kind of go through my list of clients and identify who I haven't really heard from in a while and who I have either like some deadlines approaching or some things overdue that I need to follow up on. That was a really great part of my day because one, it got my day off to a really productive start. Like I was able to check a ton of stuff off and I heard back from a lot of people right away. So it gave me that really accomplished feeling first thing in the morning. And it set my week up really well too, because I, you know, have some tasks that I had deadlines for this week, but I did have some time where I was able to fit in some meetings. So that really worked out. What didn't work? Honestly, I don't know that there was anything that didn't work. Obviously still working on finding like the right, you know, kind of setup, but I think that first hour when things are top of mind and I'm looking at my to-do list, that really worked out for me. And what I'm learning is, I basically already knew this about myself, but I'm continuing to learn it, is that I, like Jessica, tend to be a procrastinator, but I'm also somebody who really thrives on having a very structured environment with a to-do list. So I don't know if you guys can see this planner I have with all my items. And then this is my monthly, these are all my clients and who I've written for so far. Here's the stuff already for April that's up. If I have things written down and there's not a check mark next to it by the end of the day, I get very weird in my brain. So adding those, you know, on Monday, the first thing is, you know, send phone calls to these people, send emails to these people, check in on these very specific action items. That was also something that I discovered 2 weeks ago that didn't work for me. Was I kind of felt like I was calling people with just like really no like agenda in mind, which I think is fine. But for me, I need to attach an action item to it. For one, it gets people to return my calls. And for me, it, you know, gives me a script sort of to go off of.
So that's perfect. So I want to start off with, I would take a page out of Steve's trust, TRUST, that last T is a takeaway. And that's what makes these really strong, is that there's a takeaway. I used to have a mentor that called it a way back. Go ahead.
The to-dos, the having something to do for somebody now that your trust builder is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a to-do takeaway. Yeah. So thank you. And I used to have a mentor that called it, it's a way back. So it's a way back to the conversation. It's a way back to staying connected. Because just like he said, it's 7 touches sometimes before even those that know us get it. Right? So good work on that. I love the structure. I love that you know that about yourself. This is the most important part of a pod, is what we discover about ourselves and how to make all things work for us inside of who and what we are. So Great work. Great work. All right. Any other feedback for Katie before she gives us her next week's commitment? Okay. All right. I know you got to go, Kim. So that's great. We're going to wrap this up really quick here. Katie, what's your commitment for next week?
My commitment for next week is to have 2 more client meetings. I have one already on the books, and I think I might take the easy way out, and I need to reach out to Jessica because we've been talking about it for 2 weeks. But also 2 trust builders. I want to get back into, I've been for the last kind of 2 weeks, like focusing on client stuff, which has been really great, but I want to start incorporating more networking stuff in there too. So I'm going to schedule 2 client phone calls and 2 trust builders. Yeah, that's what I've got.
And like we've talked about before, often what can work is as you're listening for them and what they're, not only what your company can do for them, what are they looking for? What needs? There might be people in your own group. There might be people in this group, anybody that can help and support them, because anytime you can help them, it just solidifies the relationship they have with you as to why we want to do business with you. So very good. And that's your resource in the community. So great work. Okay, Robert, we're a little behind schedule. Can you land this plane in about 3 minutes?
Very quickly, my goals are contacts, 20 a week. That warehouse is full, so that's fine, as you keep hearing. It's just a matter of following up. So my follow-up is 60 a week, 15 a day, 4 days a week. And that's going a little better. I feel pretty good about it. Like yesterday, especially, I did my 15 in under an hour, and I just had so much momentum, not just in me personally, but in my business. It was like, wow. So the other goal that I added on to all that was videos, and I don't think I made any last week. In fact, in general, my social media was, I'm a little behind. I'm catching up today. So I don't really have a reason for why that happened. And I kind of looked back and went, oh, wait a minute. So
I need a list.
yeah, no, I've got a list. I can't blame that. I don't know. I think maybe it's
What worked?
athletic schedule could be it. But what worked is my new athletic schedule, is that I am just in a mindset and a structure that's like built around this. I pretend I'm an Olympic athlete guy. It's in my imagination going overload. But and I just love that lifestyle, and I'm just full of energy. I don't second guess things. I'm not being careful. I'm not, am I doing this right? I'm just doing it. And it just feels, I just have a different energy level, and it feels really good. And what works for me is building around my athletic lifestyle. That structures my life, and it gives me the energy and chutzpah. I'm sleeping enough, I'm eating enough, because I want to make sure all that stuff I really like to do, get out and play on my bike, is going to happen. So
What didn't work?
Man, I'm trying to think.
Well, if nothing comes to mind, that's fine.
Nothing's coming to mind, because I feel like I just need to do more of what works.
Okay. What did you learn? Often why I ask what did you learn? A lot of our learning comes from what didn't work. So that's the purpose of that. So what did you learn this week?
Well, I'm learning from what works. Me, positive voice guy. So, like I said, what works is building a lifestyle and a structure that my professional life fits into, that starts with my athletic lifestyle, is what things get done. And I don't know how I had a brain fart about that, but I just feel like I'm living that lifestyle again that I've got away from for a few years. And I think lockdown had a lot to do with that. And it's really changing everything, my energy level, my attitude, everything. So.
Hi, Kim. All right. So let's open it up for feedback for Robert before we get his commitment for next week. And Kim's going to run next week's for you as well. So. Or send you the Zoom link. Feedback for Robert.
I guess in terms of we've talked about this too, like you have a goal, like the video things, and you just didn't get to it, and who knows why, and you have a list and whatever, like that happens to me often as well. But I guess I don't know if this is even an issue, but you know, I feel like most of the times in my experience when I'm talking to clients about video stuff, there seems to be a lot of pressure we're putting on ourselves to have these like really elaborate, high quality. And it's like now since COVID time, like, you know, these people are going on the nightly news in their bathrobes, and you know what I mean? Like you can do it on your phone, and if what you're saying has value, I don't think that may not be the case of why it didn't get done or whatever. But my advice would be to just try and do it somehow. I mean, but I go through the same struggle of I've got it written down, I have all the right intention, and then I just still don't. So I don't know if that's good feedback at all.
Oh, listening to you, it sparked in my head. I realize now because my videos come out of my social media content that I post that day.
Yeah.
Then go and talk about what I, you know, so if I didn't post, which I was a few days behind on.
That's what you learned.
I get it. So
Yeah, very good, very good. And I'll make a final comment, and then we'll have you make your commitment for next week because we are running a little over. I'm loving the fact that you are living the life of an Olympian, because this plays right into everything I'm teaching right now with playing to win. And it doesn't mean you have to always win.
no.
It's the concept is, if I haven't shared this already, there's a physical, mental, emotional state that we all go through. And when you change one, you automatically change the other two. Which one do you think is the easiest to change? What do you think?
You've asked me this before, and I don't even remember. But I'm like, I don't want to say it.
All right, Katie, you look like you want to say something. You can guess.
Well,
say
I don't know about
physical.
the easiest, but for me, the hardest is mental. So I would say almost physically, because I can force myself
you.
to do anything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not just force yourself, but if you actually physically, it's easier to get up and take a walk,
Sure.
right? So that's an easier aspect. So when we take on a physicality or a physical thing, I too, like Robert, have up my physical workouts and such. And it is, there are moments where it's like, what are you doing to your body? And there are other moments that I go, well, where else in my life can I carry this kind of rigor into? So it's a great model, is my point. So mental is the hardest, right? Like, just get over it. Stop thinking about it, right? Versus, no, just, but if you do something, that's why the phrase "just do it" is so strong. So anyways, on that note, we're going to wrap up. Steve, any final words from you?
I loved hearing what I heard from Robert, because, you know, if you honor yourself and you build your business around your life and what's important to you, then you're never going to feel like your business is taking away from you. And you'll always love your business because you're honoring all the other things in your life. So I'm really glad to hear you've got that balance. And life balance was not. Yeah, life balance was like the number one important thing to me when I started Caerusnet, because my competition met every single week of the year. If I did that with my teams, I think I would go crazy, and so would my members. So, you know, and that gives me life balance, and it makes it so I'm always fresh at the meetings for my clients, because I've made it that way for myself, like you're doing for yourself.
Well, and it's remarkable to hear you say that, because as a teacher for over 20 years, that's what I did. I built my whole education career around my athletic career first. Every time I made my schedule, my calendar out for the week, what went on there first was my training schedule. Everything
All
else.
right. So thank you, everybody.
Oh,
What's your commitment for next week, Robert?
great. I thought I got to avoid that. I'm gonna keep it, no, I'm just kidding. I'll keep it the same, keep it simple. The 20 new prospects, the 60 follow-ups, 3 to 5 videos, and was that it? I think that was it.
Yep. Very good. All
Oh,
right.
I have another commitment. I want to review my trust builder notes, because in those trust builder notes are my to-dos, and I feel like I don't have a handle on them. I want to create a tracking device for that.
Good. Very good. Very good. All right. So I will see you in 2 weeks, and you guys will see each other in a week.